Oh, good girls. My favorite player growing up was Ozzie Smith. Growing up in St. Louis, I grew up in the days of when Ozzie was out there doing backflips and going out there and just making unbelievable defensive plays. You just learn to appreciate baseball in every which way. And I always wanted to be like Ozzie, to go out there and play short. But later I got in life, I realized, all right, I'm not really good at fielding ground balls. I'm going to have to find other ways to do this. Whatever age it was when the kids first started to pitch, I remember the coaches asked me if I would want to pitch. And I remember they lined up the distance and everything, and they said, all right, see if you can hit the mitt. And sure enough, I wind up and fired it, hit the mitt right down the middle. And they're like, all right, well, you're going to be a pitcher. And so I've always remembered that, like, okay, well, let's see where this goes. And, I've always had a good arm, and pitching just seemed to come natural to me, that I was just able to get on the mound and, just be able to find a way to get the ball over the plate. And that's something I've always enjoyed. You talk about sports, especially at the professional level. These guys are finding every which ways and dissecting me to try to figure out how to, attack me from a hitter standpoint, and that you have to be able to attack them and come up with new ways to be able to find a different way to be able to get hitters out. For me, it all started at Missouri when we, really took a look at first pitch strikes and then, how many often, we called it A3P. After 3 pitches, where were you at? Ahead in the count or behind the count, or was the at bat over? And that was one of those things that allowed me to become a much better pitcher. Analyzing myself like that, worrying about how many strikes I threw, worrying about working ahead in the count versus falling behind the count. And from there, that's when I got just more and more exposed to, the more advanced numbers. What I try to take from it is that there's a value on working ahead in the count, and there's a value of striking a guy out, and there's a value of not walking somebody. And when you're able to do that at high rates, that's when typically you have your most success. Yeah, those were my first no-hitters this year. I mean, it was exciting as heck. When you're able to achieve something like that, to have your teammates behind your back, that's just something you'll never forget. Because guys are out there making plays with you as well. It's an incredible feeling. There was a game where I got very animated with my manager on the mound. And, as a starting pitcher, you understand where you're at physically. You understand the context of the game. You understand who's coming up, and you understand who's also in the pen to be able to get outs if you don't feel like you're at your best. For me, I just told him how I was. I was like, I feel great. I want the ball. It just seemed like he didn't know exactly what to say, but he just said, are you sure you want the ball? And I just remember emphatically yelling downward, not to try to show him up in any which way, but just trying to explain how bad I wanted the ball in that situation. For me, that's just part of the game. I've had outbursts like that with other managers. It's nothing against the manager. I'm not trying to show anybody up. It's just that in those specific situations, I want the ball, and I know that was one of those cases.
Tell me about chocolate.
Every kid loves chocolate syrup. Who doesn't like chocolate on their ice cream? To me, it's the best topping there is. And it all started this year in Atlanta. We were down like 9-1 or something. We found a way to fight all the way back. And so I ran up into the clubhouse, into the kitchen, and was looking for just something, anything to get them with. And sure enough, they didn't have any whipped cream or anything like that. The only thing they had was chocolate syrup. So I was like, all right, this will do. So I just ran back out there and, onto the field. I was giving his interview and just covered him with chocolate syrup. And everybody seemed to love it, so that's just how it came about, the chocolate syrup celebrations. I've heard a few guys throughout the league mention when they sit there and see me staring them down or something like that, that they're like, wow, that looks really weird with one blue eye, one brown eye. And it's weird. Some people notice it immediately, and other people don't notice it at all. I always find it funny when people don't notice. I'm like, are you not looking at me in my face at all? I feel like it's so obvious. For me, I love to have fun with it. Being on the dugout. I say we don't need replay cameras anymore because, I always sit there and say the brown eye's slow-mo and the blue eye's HD.
When you go to the DMV, what do you put down?
The million-dollar question. Do you need a 3-letter abbreviation for your eye color to be able to put on your license? And so, the lady was like, well, what do you want to put? I was like, well, you can't put blue, you can't put brown. So I asked if, you could put like BLBR. They're like, well, like we said, you can only use 3 letters. So I had to go back and look it up in a book. And sure enough, they had it. It was dichromatic eyes, so DIC. So that's the way they were able to designate my 2 different colored eyes.
Come.